Hey guys, this is Christina coming to you all with my May wrap up in my June TBR video. And like I stated in my previous video, I was able to read a lot of books, or what I consider a lot of books, for the month of May. So prepare for a long but hopefully not too long video. So I was able to read 6 books in the month of May, which if you have been a subscriber for a while, and I started doing videos in January, so if you've been a subscriber to my channel for a while, then you know this is the most books that I have been able to read in I don't know when. And I think the books that I chose to read were a smart decision, because I think out of the 6 books, only 3 of them were considered long, and the rest were considered about within the 200, 300 page mark. So before I get started, I would like to tell you all some of the things that I was able to do that helped me read 6 books in the month of May. So the biggest thing that helped me was actually setting aside time to read books. So whether that be like once I get home, before I start doing my homework, after I get ready before school, in between classes, or before I go to bed, just to help me to go to sleep at night. Just setting aside some time for me to read was like the biggest thing that I was able, the biggest aid in helping me finish all these books. Another thing that helped me is not sticking to books that I didn't enjoy. I'm going to use The Host for example, and I always go back to this book when I talk about books that I didn't enjoy. With The Host, I was only able to get to, I think, page 20 or page 30 before I was like, you know what, I don't relate to the character. The character is just like everywhere, and I don't understand the plot, the setting. It's just everywhere for me. So instead of wasting my time trying to figure it out, I'm gonna stop reading, pick it up maybe for a better time, but in the meantime just go ahead and read a book that I enjoy or that I really want to read. Those are the only 2 tips that I had, is to set aside time throughout the day to read a book, and to number 2, not force myself to read books that I am not enjoying. Let's get on to the books that I was able to read for the month of May. So for the first book that I was able to read in the month of May was not an actual physical book, it was actually an audio book, and that was Dorothy Must Die. And I did a read-along from the Goodreads book, the Dorothy Must Die read-along group. That was really nice, first read-along that I ever did, and I do see the benefits of doing a read-along. It didn't work out at the end because I wasn't able to be a part of the live streaming end of discussion for the book, but other than that, I really liked the community and the interaction between other people to get their thoughts and opinions on the book and how they perceive certain characters and what they liked and didn't like about the book. But I ended up not liking the book. I gave it a 3 out of 5 out of Goodreads. Didn't really enjoy it, and I don't know if it was because of the person who read the book to me. An audiobook is basically having someone read you the book, and I think I discussed it before that I don't particularly like people reading to me. Like, I don't even like it in school when teachers like read from the textbook. I'd rather just read it for myself, because it's hard for me to picture things when other people read. I'd rather just do it myself. So I think that was a big part of me not really understanding and disliking the book towards the end, and I found myself getting distracted with other things while reading the book. Like I said before, it's a great concept if you have like a busy life and you don't have time to just sit down and read a novel. But at the same time, if you're not paying attention to what's being said, then you've skipped over a couple of pages or even a couple of chapters, and you have to rewind and go all the way back so that you can actually dive into the book. I can't blame it all on the audiobook. I didn't even like the ending of the book. So just the way that it was written, it felt like one of those typical YA novels, and I discussed it before. I didn't like the route the romance was going in the book. I felt it was one of those typical YA romances, and it kind of ended up being like that way towards the end, and I felt that the protagonist Amy, she could have had a lot of, we could have seen a lot more of her character being developed on her own. I don't know if I did a written review on Goodreads, but that was my opinion. If you have read the book before, tell me what you feel about it in the comment section below, but I wasn't really feeling it. The next book that I read in the month of May was Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac by Gabrielle Zavine. I already have a review on my channel, and I'll link it right here in the description box below. Like I said, it's like one of my favorite books in high school. It's about this girl named Naomi who suffers from amnesia after taking a fall in high school, and she's trying to basically reconstruct her life after the event happens. And it's kind of like one of those stories where after a certain event happens in your life, do you go back or do you try to reconstruct your life and become a new person? I gave this book, I think, a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. Like I said, I love the book, and if you want to see my review, click right here or down below. The second book that I was able to read is The Tales of Beetle the Bard by J.K. Rowling, and I have been trying to read this book, I think, since February, and I'm so glad that I was able to take out the time to read it, because it was such a quick read. Like, I think I read this in 2 hours. It was not that long at all. I think it's about 111 pages, so it's not that long. It's a compilation of 5 stories, and my favorite stories in this book were The Fountain of Fair Fortune, Bappity Rabbity and Her Cackling Stump, and The Tale of the Three Brothers, which, if you've read the Harry Potter series, then you know the Tale of the Three Brothers. And I really enjoyed this book. It was a really light read, especially after reading this book. A great story, and I think something that not only children but people who have grown up with the Harry Potter novels would enjoy. The next book is It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini, and I did a book review on this a couple of days ago, I think, and I will post that right here as well, and also in the description box below. Basically tells the story of a teenage boy who suffers depression, and he ends up getting into a mental institution to help with his depression, and it just tells his life within the hospital and him fighting with this mental illness. Really enjoyed this book as well. Gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. One of the best YA novels that I've read. Wish I would have read it back in my freshman year of high school. I think I would have really taken a lot from it, but yeah. The last 2 novels that I was able to read in the month of May, I did not do a book review on, but I did do a book review on my Goodreads, and my Goodreads account is linked in the description bar down below. But it was The 10th Circle by Jodi Picoult, and I absolutely was infatuated with this book. I think this is the book that really helped me in reading like a bunch of novels in the month of May, because I cannot put this book down. And you know, I can tell when I'm really in love with a book when I can't put it down. Like, I set aside time for studying. Like, once I got out of class, this was the first thing that I read. After I got out of work, first thing I read. Once I got home, it was the first thing I read. Before I went to bed, it was the first thing I read. And I gave this a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. And I don't give 5 out of 5 stars lightly. Like, I have to read a book that really makes me think afterwards for me to give like a really good rating. And this is one of those books. And many of you all might know Jodi Picoult. She wrote My Sister's Keeper and The Plain Truth, and those were 2 of her most famous novels. I went on Goodreads, and this didn't do so well. A lot of people didn't like it because they said there was so much stuff going on in the book. But I have to say that's one of the things that really made me enjoy the book, is that there wasn't any boring or dead moments. You know, there was something happening in every chapter and something that was going on at least every other page of the books. I highly recommend this book. If you want a book that is not boring, that'll keep you occupied, this is the book for you. And last but not least, the book I was able to finish in the month of May is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, and I was able to finish this in like one day. This isn't a really difficult read. I'm assuming that everybody had to read this at some point in their life during school. I had to read this in middle school, and this book stuck with me for a long time, and it really shows the impact of friendship and family and the relationships that you have with people that you love. It centers around the protagonist named Pony Boy and his friend named Johnny, and they are a part of this group called the Greasers. and something tragic happens that makes them run away from their hometown, and it shows the impact that it has on the gang itself, the family and the friends that are involved, and it shows just basically the life of people who are in the lower, like as far as like the hierarchy, because you have the socks who are the higher class, and then you have the greasers who are in the lower class, like the hoodlums. And it shows how, I think for me, that looks aren't everything. You know, you have your stereotypes and misconceptions of people who come from a certain neighborhood, but you don't really know the struggle that they go through and what they have to witness on a daily basis. And it shows that even some of the cleanest cut, the most professional looking people aren't the best or the nicest or the goodest people, or the best people, not the goodest, the best people. And it shows that people who might look, you know, a little bit deceiving, a little bit disarming, that they're the people who are really passionate and who love the most. And that's what I love about this book. You basically just can't judge a book by its cover. That's what I'm really trying to say. But if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend this book. But I'm pretty sure everybody has read this book. And the movie is awesome too, and you could probably find that on YouTube somewhere as well. So if you haven't noticed, or if you didn't watch my previous TBR and wrap-up video, then you know that I did not stick to the books that I wanted to read, and that's fine. I explained why I'm not doing that anymore in my last video, so you can check that out if you want to know. But hopefully I'll be able to get to these books. And that is Oliver Twist by Charles Dickinson, Heart of the Matter by Emily Giffen, and this is one of the books that I got from the flea market. If you've seen my big box haul, this is one of the books from that. Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. It's a French name, I cannot pronounce it. Winter Girls by Laurie Halse Anderson, and I read this in high school. I know that it centers around anorexia, but I don't really remember it that much because I only read it one time. So I just decided I want to read it again. And last but not least, the book that I'm currently reading right now, Eleanor in Park by Rainbow Rowell, and I have been seeing this book everywhere throughout the booktube community and Goodreads. So, and I bought this book like last month because I'm just like, okay, everybody's been raving about it, let me see what this is all about. So I'm enjoying it so far. I'm only on like page 5, so I wouldn't be able to tell you all anything about it, but yeah, and those are all the books that I plan on reading for the month of June. If you want to share with me the books you plan on reading for in the next month, then go ahead and leave me a comment down below. Or if you have any questions about any of the books that I've shown you all, feel free to do so. I'm sorry, I keep scratching my nose. Like, allergies are like rampant down here in the South. Like, it's terrible. So yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.